Hello CloudCannon friends, I'm Tom, a developer here at CloudCannon. If you've ever changed an input type in your CloudCannon configuration, pushed it to GitHub and waited for a CloudCannon rebuild, only to find out that your config change was wrong, this video is for you. Today I'm talking through the CloudCannon development server, which lets you run a local copy of CloudCannon's editing interface right alongside your SSG's development server. We'll set it up from scratch, including installing dependencies, running a build, and pointing the CloudCannon development server at your SSG's build output. Then we'll demonstrate making some real config changes, like switching a checkbox to a switch type input, and adding some more options to our Markdown toolbars and our rich text editors. You'll see that every change we make shows up in our CloudCannon development server immediately, so no more pushing and no more waiting for a build. By the end of this video, you should have a tight feedback loop for testing your editing experience locally, and when you finally push to CloudCannon, what your editors will see will match exactly what you tested. So let's get into it. To start, I can run pnpm install. This repo uses pnpm, and I'll run a dev server. I can go to my local host, make sure that's all working. Yep, I can see my site on my dev server at 4321. So I can leave that running and come to a new terminal in the root of my repo again, and I'll run pnpm run build because CloudCannon's dev server needs a build directory to run off. Next, I'll run CloudCannon dev and make sure to put output path equals dist. Cool, and I can see a local copy of CloudCannon running now. I can see my collections here. I can go into a post, see all the inputs as you would see it in CloudCannon, and the content editor here. Cool, so from here I can go and check the source editor for this maybe. I can see that we have a key of featured here. Let's demonstrate changing that to a different type of Boolean input. So I can come to my CloudCannon config file here, create an inputs key at the global level here, and we'll make one for featured. This can be a type switch, and let's put a comment saying, I can save that, come back to my CloudCannon dev server and see this has updated to a switch instead of a checkbox. You can see my comment here. You can also use configuration mode here and say we want to change this title. We can maybe put this at the collection level this time. I'll change it to a text area so it's a bit bigger. And I don't know, maybe we'll call this page title or something. If we come back to our config file now, it's added a bunch of placeholders, but it's also added this inputs key with the title scoped to the posts collection. And you can see this new config that we added via CloudCannon. We can test this out now. So we could go make a change in here. As an editor might do, I could say, change this title, make this a featured post. Then I come to my dev server and I should see this is now in our featured posts with our change title. Change that back, see the reverse happen now. That title's gone and it's out of my featured posts now. So that's an easy way to check how an editor would use an input and that the input is working. And you're cutting out this middle step of having to upload to CloudCannon and wait for a build. Okay, so I can also change things other than just this sidebar. We could also maybe add some things to this Markdown toolbar. I can come to our CloudCannon config file, editables, and for the content editor, let's just turn a few more things on. So maybe I can have superscript and subscript. And let's have tables. Save that, come back here and refresh. We can see got superscript, subscript, and let's try enter a table. Hopefully this is styled. Cool. Come back to my dev server. Let's make this a featured post again. And I can see I have superscript. Not sure, there must be some styling mistake here with subscript, but that's okay. And tables are styled, so we've made that. Hopefully you can start to see how this little loop of adding configuration, checking how it acts and looks in CloudCannon's dev server, testing it, and then seeing it on the dev server show up immediately and confirm that the edit is styled and that it looks okay if they make that edit. And we're hoping this will drastically speed up how you develop for CloudCannon. So I was troubleshooting why our subscript wasn't working properly, and I realized somewhere along the line in my testing while I was recording, I must have turned subscript to true, and this is by default false. When you set this to true, subscript text will be output with tildes instead of HTML elements. So if I set this to false now, save it, and then go back to our CloudCannon dev server, you can see at the moment it's still tildes. If I go back to the content editor and change this to subscript, and then go back to the source editor. We can see its proper sub here. And then if I go to the dev server, we have subscript and superscript now. And then I guess the last thing that solidifies all this is to push out changes to CloudCannon. Cool, so our site's just finished our build. I can come to our posts again, go to that test one we were working on, and see all our changes here in CloudCannon. This input looks the same. We have a text area here. I can open this URL on the built version. We can see our test changes here, our fixed subscript, our table, but most importantly, the editing experience in here is exactly like we saw on the CloudCannon dev server. And that's the CloudCannon development server. Test your config locally, see changes the moment you save, and only push to CloudCannon when you know it works. If you want to try it out yourself, the docs are linked below. Otherwise, happy building, happy editing, and I'll see you on the next one.